it's Chase from Chase's Workshop. I hope you enjoyed that little intro video I did. I used that to show you what these pickups kind of sound like, and I'm hoping in another video maybe going through and getting you some sounds of these guys instead of trying to put it all in this video. It is heck of a hard time trying to make videos about building pickups and not make it 40 minutes long. I just try to put as much information as I can into them to show you guys, because I know you guys have a lot of questions about building them and stuff like that. So with that being said too, you can also go down, I'm going to timestamp all these, so you can go down and you can click through and see what parts you want to see instead of having to watch the whole video to try to find where it is you want to find. So anyways, this is my Epiphone Les Paul that I've had for probably 20 years. When my son was a year old, he dropped it and broke the headstock on it. And are you really even a Epiphone Les Paul owner or player without one that has a broken headstock on it? I joined that club probably about, I don't know, 10 years ago when my son broke the headstock. But I still love the guitar, and it's sat here for a year without any pickups in it. And I finally just said, hey, I'm going to build some pickups for it. Now this pickup here, the bridge, I used the Enamel, vintage Enamel, this stuff right here, 42 gauge. And you'll see more in the video. I did about 10,000 windings on it, so 5,000 per bobbin. On the neck pickup, I used the Temco 42 gauge enamel wire right here. And I did about 4,600 windings per bobbin, so it's a little less output. They were kind of similar though once I kind of did the math on them, or did the getting the ohm readings and stuff on them. They're pretty close together and they sound really good together. Also rewired all of the pots, and I put these two capacitors in here. They're actually some that I bought for the first ever Shows custom Fender guitar right there that I was going to use for it. I didn't have any of the normal .022 orange drops caps that they use in Gibsons, so I decided to use these and just see what they sound like. They sound pretty good. I like them. I might eventually go back and get the other ones. But anyways, guys, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. If you like the video, give me a like, and if you like it, please subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Guys, so you can tell here what I've got. I've got my pickup bobbins set out. I might have another one of these plates here over there. I just haven't put it out here yet. But I've got my 4 bobbins. I've got 2 that are screw side and 2 that are lug side. And what we're going to be building here is we're building a set of humbucker pickups for my black Epiphone Les Paul. Now, I found some of this information. I went to a website called Vintage Gibson PAF Humbuckers. I'll put a link to it in the description where you can go check it out if you want to. And they go through and they show you different things of how the original PAFs were built and the materials they used and stuff like that. So it's a really good website to get some information on. But when it gets to winding, it says it just gives you a generic number of 10,000 total windings, 5,000 per bobbin. And so I'm going to try to shoot in that area. I might do it a little bit lighter. I might do around 48 on each of them. I'm just going to see how many windings I can actually get on one of these bobbins. If I can get close to 5,000, I might put 5,000 in it. And what I'm probably going to do is the neck pickup, I'm going to make it a little bit less. I'm going to try to give it a little less output. So if I do 5,000 windings on these two, I'm going to maybe put like 4,800 on each of these for the neck pickup. And the reason I want to do that is just I want to see, maybe get a more lower end, mellower sound than the brightness of a high output pickup. This is going to be pretty high output with close to 10,000 windings on it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to get close to 10,000 on this one for the bridge. And I'm going to try to do around 40, anywhere between 45 and 48 on this one, on both of these, to see where I'm at. So they'll give me a total 10,000 on this one, roughly. And then it'll give me roughly 9,600. So I might go a little bit lower. I might do 45 on there and see what that'll do. And that'll give me 9,000 total on this for the neck pickup. I just want it to be a little bit weaker than the bridge. See what it does. I'll be using alnico 5 magnets for these guys, just these bar magnets. And I'm going to be using this vintage enamel coated wire. This is the same stuff that I used. If you didn't see my video, I'll put a link to it here for the Blue South humbucker that I rebuilt for a guy. He wanted this same stuff on that one, so because that's basically what come on it, and that's what he wanted back on it. So I got it. This stuff's not very cheap. I'll put a link where you can find some. Here, that's 42 gauge enamel, vintage enamel wire. And the other pickups I built, I've used this Temco 42 gauge. You can tell the difference in it. It's kind of reddish, and then this one's more like a brownish color. So yeah, now when we wind these guys, they're all going to be wound exactly the same, except for the count of the windings. But they're all going to be wound clockwise, 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 clockwise. And then when I wire these dudes up, when I wire them up, I will make sure that my signal is going, say if it's going clockwise in this pickup, that it's going counterclockwise in this pickup. And the reason for that is in order for it to actually hum cancel of what a humbucker does, it has to have, your windings have to be going in opposite directions. And that doesn't mean you have to wind this one clockwise and this one counterclockwise. You can just wire them up to where the voltage is flowing in opposite directions. And I'll get to that point when I get there. I'll go in more in depth about that. Yeah, so we're going to shoot for around 10,000 on this one, and maybe around 9,000 to 9,500 on the neck pickup. Now, I know I talked about this in one of my other videos. If you haven't seen my other videos where I build pickups, you can go right here. I'll put a link to them there. I like to write down everything. Like I said, I've labeled this bridge pickup. I might put a B right here so I know it's the bridge, but I've just labeled it S1. I might put a B there and do SB1, S1B or something like that. I like to label them and then write down everything that I did to them. So when I get done winding this thing, I'll put on here, hey, I put 4,800 on each bobbin. And then that way, if I ever get this one back out and look at it and go, oh, what did I do to this one? I can got a reference to it. Now, I know you guys, if you've watched my channel, you've seen me use this guy quite a few times. But basically all this is a pickup winder that I built. I've got videos where you can build your own if you want to. I'll put a link right here, a card right here where you can check that out. But yeah, I'm just going to be using this guy. And I am going to show how I start these dudes, how I get them going. I start one of these, show you how I do it, and then how I finish it, and then I'll do the rest of them. And then when we get done, we're going to pot all of these. So I haven't potted a pickup in a while, and I want to go over that again and show you how to do that. Okay, so I've kind of made an executive decision here. I've already done the other pickup, and I used the vintage enamel wire on it. You're going to see that one here in a minute, but I'm going to do the non-vintage enamel winding on the neck pickup. And I'm just going to see, maybe I can get the difference. I can maybe put them in both positions and see what they sound like. In order to start these dudes, all I do, I've got some tape on this side. I'm put a little bit of, not on this one, I'm going to put a little bit of super glue on here. I'm not going to put a lot on here, just a little bit of super glue. I'm going to try to center this dude up as much as I can onto the bobbin here. So about right in there. And it's on. Before I did this, I didn't show, but I went through and I kind of took a little file, and kind of sanded down any kind of rough spots or anything like that in the bobbin. And then I just took some pickup tape and wrapped the inside. So we've got a smooth finish on the inside. To start it, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my end. I'm going to set this in the floor up to my legs. I'm going to stand it up just like that. I'm going to bring my wire up here. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm going to take a little piece of tape. I'm just going to stick this right up here out of the way. So my wire's right here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it one time around this dude. Take another piece of tape, stick it down here. And then I'm going to start winding. And we're doing clockwise on this dude. So I'm just going to take this guy and make sure that my eyes here are lined up good with this. Just going to hold it all the way to this side and make sure it's not hitting anything. Now it's hitting just a little bit, so I'm going to push it in some. Make sure none of these things are sticking up. Alright, now I'm going to take it to the other side. So I moved it over to this side. I'm going to keep spinning it. Make sure it's hitting pretty good there. It looks to be doing pretty good. And I've got about 12 windings on it now. So on this one, I'm going to try to do about 48, 45 to 48, somewhere in there. So then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to start it. Stop it, check, make sure all of them's going on there good. They look pretty good, as you can tell. And I'm going to go with it. I will say this copper colored wire is a lot easier to see on the bobbin than the vintage enamel. The vintage enamel is so dark that it almost blends in with the, when it's rotating with the black bobbin. It's harder to see. But I can really tell easily on this one where I'm getting off at. When you're winding these guys, when you're watching, look down here, right at where your string's going on to it, or your wire's going on to your bobbin, because you'll be able to see that wire as this thing's spinning on, and you can kind of guide it and see where it's putting down wire at. I'm just slowly going back and forth. About 1,000 windings, I'm going to do some scatter winding on it. As you can tell there, we're getting pretty good. Got about 1,400 windings on it. 1,442. So I'm at 2,700. And there's what she's looking like. I'm watching down here because I can see where this wire is going on at. And then on the top of the bobbin, I can tell where it's building up and where it's not building up. So I can go to those spots and kind of build it up a little bit there. And then go back to this side and build up a little bit. And I'm just trying to keep the coil constant. I'm going to do 46. Let's do 46. Alright, there's 4606 is what we ended with. So now to stop this dude, I'm just going to take it. I'm going to take this wire. I'm probably going to cut it down here somewhere. Pull this dude off. And we have our pickup wound. For the bridge pickup is how I connect these little guys here. And I hope you can see this wire. It's very fine. Putting this piece of paper here where you can see it. What I do is I take a piece, and I hope it's not blurry. And then I take my little wire. You see that? And I just take the magnet wire and just start spinning it around. Till I get a big clump on there, and then you can just kind of spin it with your fingers. Like that. You just want to get a bunch of them on there. And then you have something that looks like that. Like that. Okay. Now all I'm going to do is I usually just take this and tape it back to the top. Top there. And then I'm going to solder it up. And to solder it, all you do is just get you a little bead on your end of your soldering iron. Just touch it to it and let it heat it up. I've already done. So there we go. This I did the black is the start of the pickups, and then the red is the finish. Now what I'll do is I'll basically test this guy and make sure we've got that it's actually working. This one's reading 3.73. I might have to heat this up again because this is not connecting through these two wires here. Did it to me on the last one too. I'm going to heat those up again. see if I'm getting a reading through my wires now. There we go. 3.74 is what I'm getting. 3.73. 3.73, 3.74. Try to get where you can show it to you. Can you see that? 3.73. So that's that one on that one. We'll find what I did with the other one. Okay, so here's the two ones. This is the one I just got through doing, and I'm gonna check this other one, make sure it's still good too. I'm getting 3.69 on that one, and this one I'm getting 3.73, somewhere in there. So they're pretty close. Now all I do is basically I just take these guys, take a little bit of this tape. I'm just going to cover this connection. Like so. The same thing to the other one. A lot of times if you have problems with that first initial, like once you plug it in, or once you get done winding it and you're not getting a reading off of your wire or your pickup, I always go back and check those connections you made, because about 9 times out of 10 that's going to be where your bad connection is. I'm just going to stick them where I want them. And now I'm going to pull the bobbin off. Okay, what I ended up doing was I unwound it one time to where I could get these connectors out toward the end. So this spare wire, if you can see it or not, see it floating around there, I'm just going to kind of push it back around this side. And then I'll take my pickup tape. So I'm going to tape that on there. I'm going to make sure I get all my windings. See, I got one sticking out right there. So I'll come back around. I'll make sure I grab it. I just kind of loop it up there. Let it grab the windings that are loose. And then bring it around. See if I can grab that one. So there we go. So let's make sure we still got a reading. We still get a reading here. 3.78 and 3.70. So there you go. And more than likely, I just wound one different than the other, maybe. Probably. But I did put exactly 5,000 windings on both of these. So now when I wire these dudes up, what I'll do is I'll split these bobbins, these coils, to where you can wire this guy up in parallel or however you want to. So there we go. What I'll do next is I'm going to go ahead and finish these other ones that I've got for the neck pickup. For this is the bridge. And then I'll get those done and I'll come back and we will pot these dudes. Okay, so I've got this dude put together now. This is still the bridge. I haven't even started on the neck pickup yet, but all I've done is I've just wired this dude up, and you can see the connections right in there. I basically fed this wire through here and just had the exposed ends kind of like that on this side, and I just soldered them together into this configuration. And this is kind of standard, one that I found online, but it is a screw side, which would be this side here, screw side bobbin. The inside black goes to green, the outside red goes to red. So this would be the start would be the black, and then the finish would be the red on the screw side. And then the lug side, I've got it wired up to where the black, the start, the inside's black, is just goes straight to black on this one, and then the white goes to the finish or the outside on the red on the lug side. If we look at it, it's kind of like this. Looks like that. You got the screw side, lug side, and then that's the configuration that I got on it. So next what it is, are we putting this guy together? I'm going to be using the screws and everything to get this guy put together. Okay, as far as this goes, it's pretty straightforward. You've got your screws and you've got your lugs. The lugs go in the lug side. Pretty straightforward. These have kind of got a bevel to one side, so I'm going to put the bevel out. I don't know if you can tell or not, but one of these has got a bevel on it, and the other side doesn't, so I'm putting the bevel up. And then as far as the screws go, they just screw in. But what I'll do is once I get this thing together, I'll probably run all these through there after that. Now what I want to do with this ground wire is I want to ground this dude to the pickup body. Or hopefully I can get a good bead on this dude. So you can see there, just got a little bead going in that. Try to just push this into that. Okay, so I've got the ground done. Now I'm going to just flip this dude around, see how it fits. Just going to go something similar to that. So now I'm going to see what polarity my magnet is. So obviously that's north polarity, and that's the south polarity. So I want my south to go to my lugs. Make sure that's right again. So that would be my south polarity. My lugs are going to flip and be on top, so I'm going to flip this guy and put it like that. So I went ahead and run my screw through. My wire through. So what I'll do is I will screw this lug side bobbin in. Since it's pretty much where we want it. And then I'll put that spacer in back behind it. Let's just kind of hold it together while I do all this. The spacer goes right behind those lugs. Make sure that the lugs are the south, and they are. So we got lugs south. Screws are going to be north. I'm going to try to get this dude to go in here now and feed these screws through. So I'm going to put the first one in here, hopefully. Alright, so we're lined up on that one. Now we're going to do this one on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these screws in the back of the lug side bobbin. Okay, so the pickup's pretty much together, so I can put the rest of these screws in. I'm going to do that next. But let's check and make sure we're still getting a reading off this dude. Alright, so I've just got the red and white jumped out. I'm getting 7.67. 7.69. 7.67, 7.69, somewhere in there. So she's still working. So now what I'll do is I'm going to run the rest of these screws in. I'm going to put the cover on. I'll probably show you how I do that, and then I'll solder the cover over that. So I got these kind of vintage looking pickup covers. I think that'll look really good on top of it, I think, once I get it all together. Okay, so all that stuff's done. Now all I've got to do is put this cover on, and I just slide it on like so. Push down on a little bit, and I'm going to just run a bead of solder right here and on that back side. done, other than potting it. So the next thing I'll do is pot this dude. I'm going to go ahead and make the neck pickup, because this is just the bridge. We're going to make the neck pickup, and then we'll come back and do the, we'll do all the other stuff to them. So stand by. Alright, so here is the finished pickups. I've got both of them done. The first one gave me a 7.4K reading. I used the vintage enamel wire. I did 5,000 windings on both bobbins. The neck pickup, I used the Temco 42 gauge wire. I did 4,600 roughly windings on them, 4,606 on both of them. I used the Temco, and I got a 6.96K total reading. Now what I'm doing is I'm preheating my pickups on a heater I have out in my shop, and I'll show you in just a second. But first, this is the double boiler to pot these guys. And all I've got is just a Fry Daddy with some water in it, and basically set up like a double boiler type thing here. I'm just heating the water and letting this wax melt. Just plug this guy up, let this water get hot, let it start melting the wax, then I shut it off. This thing starts boiling, it'll splash water all into my wax. So it's not ideal, but it works pretty good. And this is how I'm preheating my pickups. I've just got them sitting next to the heater here, just getting warm. The thing I want to talk about real quick is potting these pickups. It is very dangerous to do this. This is something that if you're going to attempt it for the first time, I would suggest doing it outside, and just attempt it at your own risk right now. One thing that I do on this guy is with that Fry Daddy, it gets that water to boiling really quick. And what I do is before the water starts boiling, because I don't want the water to splash into the wax, I will basically pull the plug out or unplug it from the heat source, or unplug it from my power source, and let that water just sit there. Because that water will continue to get hot for a while, and then it'll start cooling down. And I'm just waiting, letting it melt that wax. It takes probably a good 30 to 40 minutes to melt that wax to the point where you can pot it in that time frame. After about 30-40 minutes, that wax will get to a certain temp, but you do not want to put your pickups in it until it's around below 150. I usually go in around 145 to 140, somewhere around in there, just to be safe on it. But once it's to that point, you can put your pickups in it, and they can sit in it for as long as you want them to. The worst thing you can do to that wax is get it too hot, and if it finds an ignition source, that stuff is like gasoline. It will ignite and burn and can burn you, can burn your house down, whatever. So attempt to do it outside, play around with it, and like I said, just set it up as a double boiler like I do, where I have the water in the Fry Daddy, then I have the wax inside the water, and that's going to keep it from getting too hot. The hottest it can get at that point is 212 degrees. That's what water boils at. You're constantly going back and forth between plugging it up, unplugging it, plugging it up, unplugging it, to get it to where it's going to melt. And once it's melted, all melted, you want to get your temperature below 150 before you put your pickups in it. So guys, I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions about it, let me know for sure. I'll definitely answer any of them. But I'm just trying to tell you, be cautious when messing with this stuff. Okay, so my wax is pretty much all melted, as you can tell here. And if you didn't see what I was talking about, I've got a double boiler pretty much. I've got water here, and then I've got just my wax in a little pan here that it can melt in. As you can tell, it's pretty much melted all the way now. I don't have any heat on it. I just went back and forth and kept getting it to it finally melt. Now I'm going to try to get where you can see the temperature. So I'm a little bit above 150. I've never got really much over that right there the whole entire time of heating this stuff up. I just heat it slow. Cut it on, cut it off, and let it heat the water up, and then I'm just going to sit here and wait till it gets below 150 before I put my pickups in. Now, one thing this wax will do is it will layer, so you need to come in here and stir it every now and again. And sometimes you'll think you're cooler than you are, and you go to stirring it, and you'll have a jump in your temperature. That's happened to me quite a few times. So I just come in here every so often and stir it. And then look at my temp. So I think it jumped a little bit there just by stirring it up. So like I said, this stuff will layer. And as long as you keep it in the warm water, the wax is gonna stay liquid longer. and it'll stay at its temperature longer. If you take it out of the water, it'll cool down quicker, and you know, I'm just gonna leave it in the water when I pot these guys. So I'll be back when I put them in. Okay, so I've got everything set up here now. I am just right at 150 now. You can see that there. So I'm gonna get ready to pot these dudes. I've just got the pickup sitting up here. I've been stirring this stuff occasionally just to make sure that there's not any layering of the heat, because that will happen, like I said. And I'm gonna get this dude just a little bit more time. It's probably been sitting for about 15 minutes after I got it heated up and melted fully before it dropped down. So it takes it a while to drop down. So I'm gonna try to put it in there probably about right now, because I am right under 150. And all I'm going to do is take these dudes. They've been sitting on here. I've got them preheated from the heater outside. And I'm just going to drop them in. You see how on this pickup right here, how it's kind of hazy in that area right there? That means the temperature of the pickup was a little bit cooler than the actual wax, so it basically solidified that wax real quick. Preheating them kind of avoids that a lot, where it's not a huge, it's going to drop the temperature of my wax really fast if I put cold pickups in there. And then also it's got to get all that, it's got to heat the pickups up to that point before they will actually start potting. If you put them in there cold, it'll drop your temperature of your wax too fast, and you won't be able to properly do it. See those bubbles coming out there? So my temperature of my wax has dropped down to about 148, somewhere around in there, 147. Just gonna let them sit. I'm gonna show you something here. You can see my meter right over here. Pickups, the resistance is going to change by the temperature. So right now, as you can tell, these dudes are pretty warm. This pickup right here is the neck pickup, where we're getting a 6.96K reading off of it. Now I'm going to ohm it out and see what we get. Get an 8.09. Bridge pickup, we got a 7.4K reading on it. I'm going to get a reading off of it now and see what it says. 8.54. So you can tell temperature has a lot to do with it on your resistance reading. Okay, so I've been moving these dudes around a bunch, and they've been sitting here about 10 to 15 minutes. And so we're going to pull them out. I've just got a rag here I'm going to wipe them off with. Pull them out, let them drip, let them drain. My wax is down to about 135, somewhere in there. Let this one drain out. And they're done. Now I'm going to put them into, let them cool off and everything, and then we're going to wire them into my Les Paul, and we will get some sounds out of these dudes. I've got it done now. Got the pickups in, sounding really good, sounding nice. yeah, I'm really liking how these guys sound. They sound good. Like I said, I'm going to try to get a better audio quality for you. Maybe in another video when I do an update on this guy or something. But I'm really enjoying this thing, man. This lower pickup is hot. There we go. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments about any of this stuff, just leave them below. I'll be glad to answer any questions that I've got or any suggestions that you might have of anything I can do to make my process better. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a like. If you liked it, please subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.